Okay, I think we are ready to start. I have two students in the room and the rest of you online. Maybe somebody else is going to join us in person or online during the class, but in any event, we are all set to begin. I just need your confirmation that you can hear me well.
We can hear you.
Excellent, thank you.
Yes, okay. I can hear you.
Good to know. And just so you know, feel free to interrupt me at any point in time if something that I was saying was not clear to you or requires additional clarification. As you remember, and as announced, today we are going to go through the exercises that you were given on the first class with me and the homework that you were supposed to complete. Some have completed, and I appreciate the work done, and many thanks for doing that. Others did not, and that's also fine, and in accordance with my email sent to you. I think for those who have attempted to complete the homework, it's going to be easier to follow what we are talking now. For those who have not, may not be that easy, but in any way, it's not a nuclear science, and I think that we should all be fine with what we are expected to do today. With this being said, I just realized that I need something else to show to you on the screen so that we can go through this exercise or not. I mean, do you have, I have printed out for those who are present in the room, the exercises, those excerpts, copies from the books and other materials that I have given to you for the homework. Do you have them in front of you on your laptops, or do you who are participating via Zoom have access to them either in paper form or electronic form?
Yes, we can open it. I mean, I can.
Yes.
Okay, great. So we'll start. It's going to be a mixture. This PowerPoint presentation is a mixture of the rules from the M&A thesis writing guidelines and the documents you were given and the assignment you were given to make a reference, a proper reference to one of the 11 or 12, I don't remember how many exactly, excerpts from different books, websites, cases that I have sent to you. So we'll start first with the rule number 1, which regards how you are expected to quote a book. So if you were reading a book written by a certain author or authors, you are expected to put his or her name and last name in the footnote, followed by name of the book, title of the book in italics, followed by the publisher, place of publishing, year of publishing, and page number. So this is what the rule says. And then this is what the exercise was. You were given an extract from the book European Union Law of Free Movement of Goods and Customs Union, written by Lawrence Gormley, published by Oxford University Press. And then on the second page of this document, you had information on the place of publication and year of publication. And then this was the page that you had to pretend like you were quoting. On the next slide, you will see some examples of what I have received as footnotes written in accordance or not in accordance with the master thesis writing guidelines that make a reference, can you see it here? That make a reference to this particular book. I would like to hear your comments whether any of the 3 suggestions is correct and in line with the rule number 1 we just read. And if not, I would like to hear what do you consider not to be proper in either one of the 3 references to these specific books. And again, you may ask me some additional questions for clarification if what you have written in your homework is different from what we are going to discuss here today.
First one is not in italic. Then second one is italic, but it's caps lock. And the third one looks correct, but I'm not sure if I remembered about the last part. Should it be also in italic or not? I'm not sure about that.
What do you mean by the last part when you say?
University Press, Inc., New York. That.
Okay, so I thank you, Elena, for your comments, and I agree with you with respect to the first two examples. I mean, the first one definitely does not include any of the formatting suggestions, although it does include all the necessary, let's say, parts of the footnote. The second one, indeed, the title is in caps lock, which is not what the rules require. And the third one looks like it's good. The fact that the publishing company is not in italics is fine. Only the title should be in italics. So that's not a problem. You might ask me, and you may notice a difference between some of these people. Some have written New York as a place of publication, others have written Oxford. And there might be some confusion because if you look at the second page of the document of your assignment, where it says Oxford University Press and then gives you the address of the publisher, then you also see that this publication, well, the publisher tends to publish its materials worldwide in Oxford and New York. And then there are other cities also mentioned, Auckland, Cape Town, Hong Kong, Karachi, and so on and so forth. But with respect to this particular book, the reference is being made that it's published in the United States by Oxford University Press, Inc., New York. So I would say that the place of publication of this book is indeed New York. But, okay, so we are having this discussion so that we know what's proper, but it doesn't mean that somebody is going to return your paper if you put Oxford instead of New York with respect to this particular book. I mean, it's not a huge mistake, but let's try to detect what should be the proper way of making a reference to this book. There's something else that you might ask me or not, or I may tell you, with respect to the title of the book. It says EU Law of Free Movement of Goods and Customs Union. In English language, it is very common for the titles to be like each word in the sentence to be with capital letters, except words such of and and. So it would be more common to see that this is written as EU and then L in capital.
Yeah, like the first one, just.
Exactly, like the first one. Thank you. So the way how the book is written in terms of capital letters and small letters is better in the first example. But what was missing here is that this title should have been in italics. So this is the rule. When you make a first reference to this book, this is how the footnote should look like. And let's assume that several pages later, you are again making a reference to this book, but a different page. What would you do then? What do the rules say? Okay, so Vukashin is saying only L. Gormley, and then comma, and then.
You mean the first mention of the book?
If I'm mentioning this book for the second time in my paper, so for the first time we have settled what should be in the footnote, but for the second time.
Also the year published. For
the second time, the page suffices. So L. Gormley, and then I say, so it's not 32nd page, but it's 135 or something like that. That's sufficient. The year of publication is needed. This is also covered by one of the rules. When we are making a reference to his other books or articles. So this one is from 2009, but we have also made a reference to his article, which was from 2012. So then when we make a repeated reference, it should be L. Gormley 2009 in the brackets, comma, and then followed by the page number. Is there anyone from this group who is online who needs some additional clarification in this regard, or can we move to the second exercise or the second reference for your footnotes?
We can move.
We can move on. Okay, thank you. So rule number 2 from the master thesis writing guidelines refers to how the articles published in legal journals should be referenced in the footnotes. And there we know that it should be name and last name of the author, followed by the title of the article in quotation marks, followed by the title of the journal in italics, followed by the issue, number of the issue of the journal and the year of the journal, and then followed by a page number. So the second exercise I have given you was an article published by Professor Petra Butler, and the title of the article was The Use of the CSG in Domestic Law. This article was published in the Annals of the Faculty of Law Belgrade, or Belgrade Law Review, in 2011, and the issue of this particular journal was number 3. So this is the information where I have acquired from here I have acquired information on the place of publication of this article. And then you were supposed to make a reference to it in the footnotes, and these are the 3 results out of many that I have received. And again, I would like to invite you to give me your comments, whether you think that either of the 3 is correct, and if not, just point out what the errors are in each of these examples. Or tell me if you have written something else, tell us why did you write something different, and we can discuss that then.
So in this case, I think the first one, the most convenient. The second one has a mix of...
Okay, just for clarification purposes, can you hear Vukashin when he is speaking? He's here in the room with me.
Not clearly.
So Vukashin, you either speak louder or I'm going to be the translator of what you were saying, but I think you speaking louder should be...
Can you hear now?
Say something again.
Can you hear now?
Did you hear him better now?
Yes, he said, can you hear me now?
Okay, well, so why aren't you confirming? Okay, good. So he can speak without me interrupting his comments. Go ahead, Vukash.
So I said that I think the first one is the best. That's what I wrote, except that I left on page 7 also, but both are okay. In the second example there is both there is italic letter and normal one in the word annals. Also, there should be one space between faculty between word level and line. And third example, the letters, as we talked about the last example, the use should be big. D also. So that's my reason.
Okay, thank you, Vukashin. And what about the rest of you in the group? Did you write something different from the first example that Vukashin claims is the correct one?
Oh, sorry, I just saw this. There should be also between lower root and no.
There should be what?
No, that's a thing.
Anyone? Do you all agree with Vukashin that the first one is correct?
Well, yeah, looks like it. I'm not sure, but yeah.
Maybe just Carlos the title, right?
Carlos is saying, can you speak up so that they can hear you?
Yeah, maybe just the title of the letter, right? On the title. I mean, I can see, but I think it's not italics.
Yeah, but we said that the title of the article should not be in italics. Yes, so the title of the book should be in italics. But when you're making a reference to the article, it's the title of the journal that should be in italics, whereas the title of the article should be in quotation marks. So actually, Lukashin is right, in my view. But there's something else that I've seen that some of you have put here and which is not on this slide. Some of you have written Dr. Dr. Petra Butler, as it is on the first page of this article. I just want to highlight that those kind of professional titles that you see, it's not uncommon that in the article you will see professor, somebody, doctor, somebody, whatever other academic titles somebody is bearing. But that's not something that should be included in the footnotes. So there's no need ever to say in the footnote, Professor Milena Đorđević, and then mention my article or my book. Milena Đorđević suffices. Understood? Okay. And then we can move on to the next rule and next example. If there is more than one author of a book or article, 3 at most, their names should be separated by commas, and everything else applies as it applies for the books in general. So names and last names of authors, followed by title of the book in italics, followed by publisher without italics. I'm not sure why on this PowerPoint, I mean, I see that my examples here are not the correct ones, but never mind. Something has formatting of my examples from the Master Thesis Writing Guidelines has gone wrong, but luckily you have it in front of you. And then the place of publication, year of publication, and page number. And this exercise was an excerpt from the book, The Economics of European Integration, 3rd edition. And you remember that there is a rule about the editions of the book as well, which was written by 2 authors, Richard Baldwin and Charles Whiplotz. And it was published by McGraw-Hill Higher Education. And then on the next page, we have information on the place of publishing. And here is the page that you are pretending to be quoting for your paper. That's what the assignment was saying. It does not matter what it actually, this page says. So let's see what were some of the replies that I have received. You can take a look at these 3 examples on the screen, and then whoever wishes to comment, let us know whether any one of the 3 or is correct, or if not, to point out to the mistakes. Let us know what should be the proper way of referencing this book. Anyone? Do we have a correct way of referencing? Come on, Lukasz, you can sit closer so that they can hear you.
Well, I think that, of course, only the year, the 3rd edition is only appreciated in the 3rd answer.
Okay, so in the 3rd answer, as you can see, next to the year of publication, we have a 3 in the uppercase, which is a reference to the 3rd edition of the book. So in that respect, this is correct. Okay, what else?
But what I wrote is Berkshire publication, so in that case, it's the 2nd one, since it's made in Berkshire. So the 2nd one has the...
Okay, all 3 examples we can agree have the title of the book in italics, which is correct, right? Then the first 2 have names and last names of the authors written in the same manner, which is also correct. What's wrong with the 3rd one?
It has end,
Exactly.
comma, and then end.
Okay, so we don't need end.
Yeah.
Just names, last names, and commas in between the names of the authors. And then all of them have mentioned McGraw-Hill Education as the publisher, which indeed is the publisher, but then the third one has included the UK limited reference. By the way, I mean, I'm not going to say that the third one is improper in that regard, but it's not needed. Those references, like we had on the first exercise as well, that something was incorporated, Inc. References in which in your, you know, for the limited liability companies or for whatever shareholding companies or whatever these abbreviations that stand for a type of business association, they do not need to be included in the footnote. I mean, McGraw-Hill Education is sufficient for the purposes, but it would not be a mistake to add what the rest what's mentioned in the book. And then there was an argument about the place of publication, and Vukashin says it's not New York, but it's Maidenhead, right? Is that what you said?
I wrote Berkshire.
Berkshire.
Also the main.
And what about the ones of you who put New York? Would you tell us why did you think that that's more proper than what Vukashin did? Or you don't have to explain, but I mean, it could be both of them. You know, to be frank, I'm not really sure which one would be more proper. But the idea for you is to notice that there might be, you know, different ideas on what the place of publication might be based on the information contained on the second page of this exercise. So in both instances, whatever you put, New York or Maidenhead would be, or Berkshire would be sufficient to figure out what the book which book we are referencing. Okay. And again, if you decided 10 pages later in your master thesis to make a reference to this same book, how would you do it? What would the footnote look like then?
The names and the page.
Can you speak up?
The names and the page.
What does that mean? Give me an example. Read out what the footnote would read.
That Baldwin, comma, C, because, and the page number.
Comma, page number. Okay, correct. So the abbreviated form would be a reference to this book 10 pages later. And if by any chance these people have written other books together, then you would also include in the brackets the year of publication so that we can distinguish between the two books written by the same author. Can you please speak up for the people on Zoom?
We do not put the name of the book, but only the year
of publication. Exactly. So if you are quoting two books written by these authors, two different books, then when you're making a reference to the first book, then you put, for the second time, then you put their names as Vukashin mentioned, and then followed by in the brackets the year of publication, comma, and then the page number, so that the reader can distinguish which of the two are you now making a repeated reference in your master thesis. Okay, if there are more than 3 authors, only the first name should be cited, followed by abbreviation et alia or et al, which should be in italics. And then the rest goes as it always goes for the books. So, as we have mentioned here, if there are 3 at most authors, you should put their all, first name, last name, first name, last name, first name, last name. But then if it gets 5 or 6, and it does get, some people go crazy. Luckily, you're not studying medicine, but in medicine, sometimes you have 10 authors or co-authors of a paper, then your footnote would look like half a page until you list all the names. So instead of that, it's sufficient if you just put the name of the listed first author. You don't choose which one, but the first one that appears on the book or in the article, and then followed by et al. And this is the rule for the footnote. But at the end of your master thesis, where you have a list of references, all authorities that you were quoting, there it would be nice to mention all the co-authors. So here you had an excerpt from the book called Transnational Commercial Law, Text, Cases, and Materials, which is written by 4 people. and published by Oxford University Press. And again, I just gave you one random page that you are allegedly quoting for your master thesis. So let's see what the outcome was. And let me know whether you think any of the three examples is proper, and if not, why they are not proper. What's wrong on this page? Anyone?
I think for the author's name, the first one, Italia, should be fine, but it shouldn't be underlined.
Yeah, but
And
definitely it should not be underlined.
Yeah.
But also the abbreviated form, et al, should be used. So
Okay.
the last one, the third example
The
has
third
the name
one
of
is correct, I think.
With
And the
respect,
second one, royal, it misses a good. So the second
I
one
also
is wrong.
think third one is correct.
Sorry?
I also think third one is correct. Third one.
Third one is good, yes. When it comes to et al, it should be in italics and it should be shorter than it is in the first example, and definitely nothing is underlined in the footnotes. So, okay, when it comes to the name of the author, that's fine. And then when it comes to the title of the book, you say third one is fine as well.
I think third one is fine.
Okay. Anyone who thinks differently? Was there something else that you have put?
No, but maybe, I don't know if we should put test cases.
Okay, so Vukashin is raising an issue whether what's written on the first page of the book is also part of the title, text, cases, and materials. Did anyone include that in the title, in the footnote that they were preparing for their homework? Okay, I mean, I'm going to give you now my 2 cents on this particular point, and thank you for noticing that. Whatever you do, you're not going to make a mistake. I mean, as I said, it's often better to put more than less. So, I mean, text, cases, and materials does form a part of the title of this book. Although, as you can see from the way how it's formatted on the first page, that the emphasis is on transnational commercial law, but text, cases, and materials is useful to add, not necessarily for this book, but sometimes there are books that bear the same caps lock name, let me say that way, but then some contain like the real course book, and other contain the materials that regard to that topic, and others contain something else. So in order to distinguish between these types of publications, it's not a bad idea to include also text, cases, and materials in the footnote where you're making a reference to this book for the first time. But then again, even if you don't do that, since at the end of your master thesis, you will have this book in the list of references, nobody is going to make a mistake and be confused to which book you were making a reference. So unless there are any questions here, we can move on to the next example. Okay. Rule number 8. When an article has been published in a collection of articles or an edited monograph is being published, then you make a reference to the author and the title of the article in quotation marks, the title of the monograph in italics, the name of the editors in the brackets, publisher, place, and year of publication, and page numbers. So this is one of those most complicated references that you may encounter in your research. And here you had an excerpt from the book, Common Core of European Private Law, which was edited by M. Bossani and U. Mattei and published by Clover Law International in 3 cities. And you were supposed to make a reference to one chapter from this book or one article published in this monograph, published by Wolfgang Fickenster. And the title of the article was Harmonizing National and Federal European Private Laws and a Plea for a Conflicts of Law Approach. And let's see what were some of the suggestions I have received. Obviously, I could not include all of your suggestions, but I'm aware that there's some of you who use the different style than the one you see on this page. So let's see and comment whether any of these 3 examples is correct or in line with the master thesis guidelines, or if not, let's see which ones and which parts of each of the 3 you think are incorrect, so that we can reach the right way to make a reference to this book or the article in a book.
The first one is correct, I think, because only is missing what's only missing is the before K, I think.
Okay, Vukashin votes for the first one and says that the is missing before Hague. Anyone else? Do you agree with Vukashin, or do you have a different approach?
Yeah, I also see this.
Natasha also agrees. Anyone else? Okay, the first one is in its great part correct. So the name of the author was mentioned properly. It was the name of the author of the part of the book or the article in the book, in the name, not the name of the editor, so that was fine. Then the title of this excerpt, Harmonizing National Federal Law, that was fine, put in quotation marks. Then the title of the book in italics is also fine. Then you have mentioned the names of editors in the brackets. But here, I would appreciate if you could also put the full first name of the editor instead of just the abbreviation. So instead of M, although you see on the cover page that it's M, but indeed this person is Matteo Bossani and U stands for Ugo Mattei. And okay, I mean, you could not have gotten that information maybe from the excerpts I have given you, but when you are doing your own research, you will have this information available. So we should give some credit to the editors as well and put their first names too. And also, if it happens to be that there are more editors of a book than 3, you should also follow that abbreviated way of recognizing their work, as we have done earlier with the book on transnational commercial law. So it would be editors, and then you just put the first name, the name of the first co-editor, and then say et al. But in the list of references, you would put all of their names. And okay, we have the name of the publisher, which is right, but when it comes to the place of publication, what's also missing is, and not just but something else is missing. What did we say is the rule when there are more than one places of publication? And sometimes it happens, and here it's the case. On the basis of what I see on the first page, maybe, but the second page, I think, also confirms that, or not. So, Vukashin, you have reference to The Hague because on the second page it says published by Clover Law International, The Hague, right? Okay. But it would not be a mistake to copy what's written on the first page, right below the name of the publisher, where it says The Hague, London, New York. But then instead of dash, you would just have to put hyphen. So let's imagine that it happens that there are more places of publication. This is how you would make a reference to it. Any questions? some of you have also included the reference. If you look at the cover page again, on top of the title, The Common Core of European Private Law, you will see a reference. It says Private Law in European Context Series, and then it says The Common Core of European Private Law. So some have included this part, Private Law in European Context Series. Okay, this is not the title of the book. I mean, but it does kind of narrow down in which type of publication this was published. So in theory, you could make a reference to this as well, but it's not needed. I mean, I would not take it against you, or nobody would, if you omit that like you did, and you said that it's right without it. But in theory, just so you know, that's also an information that can be included in a footnote. And then we move on to another exercise where we have what? For some reason, I cannot zoom it in. We have an excerpt from a book. And now we need to figure out the title as well. It starts on the very top, Liber Amicorum Eric Bergsten. By the way, there are editions of books. When some people are very recognized, and usually that recognition comes at the old age as well. When they retire, when they reach a certain age or something, then their collaborators during their work, their former assistants and now professors and their colleagues, they, as a way of present, gather together, and each of them contributes with an article, and then they make a monograph, which is edited by somebody. And then the title of that book usually starts by Liber Amicorum, dear friend, Eric Bergsten. So this is a very common, you will see there in all parts of the world, there are different collections with this type of beginnings. And in some countries, like in Germany, they're even, they're not using the Latin words to refer to that, but German, and I'm not good in German, but I think it's something like Festschrift or something along those lines. Anyhow, then, so this was a book for Eric Bergsten on the occasion of his, I'm not sure, 70th or 80th birthday. The title is International Arbitration and International Commercial Law, Synergy, Convergence, and Evolution, edited by, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4 people. And you know, the publisher is Walters Kluwer. Here you looked for Kluwer Law International, place of publication, this weird place in Netherlands that I do not know how to pronounce. And you have the information on the year of publication, and you were supposed to quote whatever page. Which page did I find here? Chapter 7, written by John Gotanda. And the title of the chapter was Bringing Efficiency to the Awarding of Fees and Costs in International Arbitrations. So let's see how you have completed that. And let's discuss whether something should have been done differently. So take a look at these 3 examples and then share your thoughts and comments with me. By the way, there's some typos in some words, which, you know, I assume should not be pointed out now. Like in the first example, it says wording of fees instead of awarding. Somebody has just missed the letter. We're not going to take it against him or her. Would anyone like to comment? Well, you have to speak up.
So in the first one, I think all three are not correct.
Are not correct.
Are incorrect.
Okay, no, fine. I just wasn't sure whether I heard you well.
Okay. I mean, maybe they are correct, but there are some mistakes that I not. So.
Okay, let us know. So at least, do we have the name of the author right? Let's start with what's correct.
Yes.
Okay, so the name of the author is right. And then, is it right that we started with the name of the chapter?
Yes.
And there, okay, so there are three suggestions. All are good with respect to their quotation marks, right? The title of the chapter is in quotation marks.
Yes.
Okay.
But
Exactly. And the differences between the three are that you have capitalized letters in the first one. I mean, the first letters in the first example. In the second, it's all caps. And in the third one, it's there are no caps other than the first letter. And we have discussed this earlier. It's common in English language that the way how it's written in the first example is the right way to make a reference to it. The second one is definitely wrong. The third one could go as well. I mean, it's not like somebody is going to fail you because you did not put the you did not capitalize the first letters in the sentence, but the first one is better. And you might ask me, why is chapter 7 missing? Should chapter 7 also be included in the title of the article? Where it's written like here, when you look at that example that I have handed out here, yeah, it doesn't hurt if you put chapter 7, but it definitely, this is a question of personal taste, but it looks nicer without it. But again, fine if you put it.
C and all the letters.
Yeah. Don't include all caps anywhere. That's not needed. Okay, and then what happens next? Lukashin, you started, so you continue.
Okay, so I wanted to say that it's in the name of the edition, but you already mentioned the big letters for arbitration, international. Also, Italia, it's already mentioned, should be Italia.
Okay, so in the quotation marks, editors EDS dot is correct. Then we had the name of the first editor. It should be Stefan Kroll, but I mean, S stands for Stefan, but that's something you did not know. And then et al, right? Like it was not anywhere else. Neither any of the three examples, neither of them contains the right way to reference to the editors. Okay, and then the name of the publisher. The rest is okay in the first example. This is the only, no, not the only one, but the second one is missing the right place of publication. For some reason, some of you keep on making a reference to the country instead of the city of publication. And it should always be the city of publication, year of publication, and page numbers. Okay. Do we have additional questions or comments when it comes to this type of work that you might be referencing in the footnotes of your master thesis? Okay. So now we go to the rule number 9, which regards how the statutes and regulations should be quoted in the footnotes. And please remember, I mean, we're going to go through the rule, but the rule that I would like you to remember is that you put as much information as available that is going to help somebody find the statute that you are making a reference to. I mean, for those of you who are from Serbia, the reference to the official gazette, of course, with the number of the issue and the year of publication is sufficient. But when you're making a reference to whatever Chinese or Japanese or Mexican journals, you know, you should also help us find this particular piece of statute with ease. And then again, the same request is to my Mexican, Chinese, and, well, we don't have a Japanese in the group, friends from other countries, that you help us out so that we can locate the statute that you're referring to. So here you had the title of the statute followed by the title of the journal where it was published in italics, followed by the number of the issue and the year of publication.
Thank you.
If there are additional years of publication and changes, they should all be included, like 9.2 tells you. And I would add here that if the text of the law is available online, that it doesn't hurt if you add a link to it. But that might be reserved for the list of references at the end of your paper. It does not necessarily have to be in a footnote of the text already, but just, as I said, do your best so you can help not only your mentor, but the future readers of your paper find the references that you were using for the purposes of your master thesis or any academic work. And there I had an extract from the Treaty on European Union, which was published in the Official Journal of the European Communities a long time ago. So then the question was, how would you make the reference to it? And there are two examples here on screen, but if you have thought of something different, let me know and let's discuss what do we think is best. I mean, apart from the examples, if I can just refresh your memory, here in the top of the exercise, you have information on the journal where it was published, the number or the issue of publication, and then the date of publication. So any thoughts? Okay, so we will all agree that the Treaty of the European Union, well, here without the, if you look at the official journal, and you should be capitalized, union should not be in small letters, right? Is okay. Caps lock, the second example, is not needed. So no caps locks in the footnotes or in the list of references, whatever. Then the title of the journal was in italics, which is good. And then there was some uncertainty on how to make a reference to the number of the journal and to the year of publication. The second example completely omits the year of publication. The first one includes it, but it puts it in front of the number of the issue. I mean, I would suggest, oh no, let me hear what you have done. How did you make a reference to the number of the issue and of this journal and the year of publication? How would you if you haven't done the homework?
Maybe put the issue and then the number of issue.
So you would put the year of publication in the brackets before you put the
Yes.
issue.
Issue. And then continue.
And the rest of you, did you have other ways of referencing to it, or what would be your suggestions?
I already, I don't know if it's true, but I repeated what is written in the corner of the journal, and then also added the line of
There are two corners of the journal, so what did you put?
left one,
The left one?
and then added another line, 92. But since the middle, this is.
When you say another line, you mean another dash? Okay.
But I'm not sure about the number 2 because it's the number on the page. So
No,
I'm not sure if it should be written.
it doesn't hurt, so that you know on which page of the issue that this starts. I mean, obviously, as you have seen from the rule, that there are no hard rules on this particular matter. It's important that the person can distinguish what's the number of the issue and what's the year of publication. Number, there should not be a dot. What number? When you NO. And what the rule says? Is there a rule on that? Neither am I. I mean, so definitely that's not going to be an issue. Either way you go, if you put it or don't put it, I mean, it's going to be fine. Yeah, that's correct. The journal itself does not contain the dot after number, but that's again, it's their internal writing guideline, you know. So here we have an excerpt from the Charter of Fundamental Rights of the European Union. And then in the brackets, you have something. And then on top of the page, you have references to something else. So what were the results that I have received, and what do you think are the correct ones?
Made in Italy, mama, Italy, Italy.
I mean, there's no right and wrong, right? Again, as I said, the most important rule is that you have as much information as needed for the readers to locate the statute or the legal document you're referring to. So as long as we have the name, which is the Charter of Fundamental Rights of the European Union, which should be written without caps lock, and we have the title of the journal in italics, and then we have the reference to the number as written on the page and the date as written on the page, it's going to be sufficient for somebody to locate the text that you're referring to. You may include all the information you see on the page or omit something, and you can always add, I mean, the legislation, let's say, of the EU is always available online, so you could also add the link in the list of references at the end of your master thesis, so nobody is going to make a mistake then to what you were referring to. And of course, these basic documents are not going to be an issue, but sometimes you're going to get more into some specifics like the Commission decisions, which are not of such a great legal force as the Charter is, or the regulations are, and then you might have to think of how you are going to make a reference to this and to again include all the relevant information so that the reader can find out what you had in mind. And the important thing there is that these decisions, are often made, and some decisions and even regulations are often amended. So then it's important that the person knows from which year and which issue of the journal you're making a reference to. So here again, we had 3 different types of suggestions, correct or not, of in your homeworks on how this text should be referenced to. You may agree with one of them, you may disagree with all of them, you may have had different ideas. Let's hear your thoughts.
So the first one is good, but I would also add the year for the learning lesson. But it's all the information.
Okay, Vukashin says that the first one contains all the information except the year of the journal, which is 2011. Okay. Anyone else? No? Natasha agrees.
You have the date.
Okay, so then that's settled. It's easy, right? And then we had the rule covering core decisions. And the rule is that it should contain the most complete data as possible. And then there was an example from a German core decision here in the guidelines, and which includes also the reference to the website and the date when the website was accessed. So in the footnotes, you may or may not include this when mentioning the core decisions. In the list of references, you should include all the websites. At least I would suggest that. And sometimes you might be using, remember how we spoke about abbreviations, that at the beginning of your master thesis, you may have a list of abbreviations. So for example, the name of this court, Oberlandesgericht, has a common abbreviation, which is OLG. So let's assume that you are making a reference to many German cases. Maybe this would not be Oberlandesgericht, but it would be OLG Frankfurt am Main. And in your table of abbreviations, you would also have the reference to what this OLG stands for. And other courts from other jurisdictions also have common abbreviations. So for the Supreme Court of Serbia, you could also use the abbreviation instead of the full name every time you mention it. And then we have had that question before, what happens with both statutes and court decisions when they come from jurisdictions where English is not the native language, whether we should translate it, not translate it. And I would suggest that that both the let's say native name and the English translation is somehow included, whether it would be already in the footnote. So after Oberlandesgericht Frankfurt am Main, Germany, you would have in the brackets the English translation of what type of court this is. Or right after Oberlandesgericht, you say that it's an appellate court in Germany, or somewhere later. Or you have it in the list of abbreviations. You also have the explanation that the OLG stands for Oberlandesgericht, but it's also the appellate court in Germany. But have this information on the court structure so that somebody who is reading your paper can figure out whether we're talking about the first instance court or the Supreme Court. Tell me, Carlos, in Mexico, how many levels of courts are there?
answer. So for sure it depends on, let's say around board, because we also have one Supreme Court.
Okay, so you have a first instance court, I suppose, and then the appellate court, and then
We have yes, we have one more court and then language Supreme Court, like there are 4 in total.
one more and then Supreme. Okay, I'm curious about this in the middle. And you have a constitutional court as well, or is it Supreme Court that handles constitutional matters?
Can you ask again the question?
Do you have a constitutional court as a separate court, like in the US? No? Okay. And can you tell us the names of these courts? How would those be in Spanish?
I'm a little bit bad for those type of things, so the names goes, but it's only like first instance, second instance.
Yeah, but I need Spanish names. You don't know what they're called?
Yeah, instance like we usually use like those type of things. Pues, tribunal o corte de primera instancia, de segunda instancia. So yeah.
Okay, corte de primera instancia. So for those of us who have had Latin in their education, we will understand that it's a first instance court. But let's say, I'm not sure for our Chinese colleagues, would corte de primera instancia mean anything to you if you see it in a footnote? Anyone? Okay, I know this is not the most exciting exercise in the world. Okay, so I forgive you if you have left the room. But this was an example, I mean, in many countries. So, you know what? I mean, Spanish is easy for us, not for everyone in the world, not be too, European centric. But then I'm sure if I tell you the names, and I cannot tell you, but if we look up the names of Danish courts or Dutch courts in their original language, it's going to be a complete mystery to all of us. I like the fact that you keep the name of the original name of the court, but it helps if in quotation mark you tell us whether it's a first instance court, appellate court, or maybe Supreme Court. And then there's some, which is often the case with legal translation, you might be misguided. If you see something in a language that is familiar to you or looks familiar, but you may translate it differently. For example, in Russian, you might see in Russian, and I'm now referring to the Serbian colleagues because of the similarities with our language. I'm not sure that the same will, that our Mexican and Chinese colleagues will understand this as well, although our Chinese colleagues are Serbian language educated, so maybe. Anyhow, in Russia, there's something called arbitrajni sud. What does that ring a bell to you? How would you translate it to English? Okay, so Vukashin has understood that it's a trap, so it's not arbitration court, but we would be inclined to translate it as arbitration court, right? You see arbitrajni sud and you're like, I know to boost words, and I would say arbitration court. But yes, you're right, it's a trap, so it's not arbitrajni sud, or it's not arbitration court. Instead, it's a commercial court. In Russia, commercial courts are called, in Russian language, arbitrajni sud. So, as I said, it's useful and sometimes misleading if we keep the names of the courts only in the native language. It helps to the reader to get this additional information in the brackets. Anyhow, so I have given you one exercise where there was an excerpt from the judgment of the first instance court in European Union, and then these are all the information that you get on the website. If you look for this case, and the question was, how would you again make a reference to this judgment of 6 December 2007 in a case, Commission versus France, case number C106 from 2007. And here you have an information in which journal it was published in which all the court decisions are published in European Court Reports 2007 from page XY. I mean, I'm not going to go into the pages. So what were the no, sorry, I have read two different cases, but never mind. This one is about European Communities versus French Republic from 6 December 2007. Or it's the same. Anyhow, so what do you do? What information do you want to include? What information, if you follow my logic and say, put as much information as possible to make it easier to the reader to identify what you were referring to?
So I also added the link, but I wasn't sure because it's not on the page.
Sorry?
The link that I provided from LLM, I don't think it's the exact on this one page.
But?
It looks different.
Okay. But okay, so we start with the name of the court. Is that how you start? And then you left what?
Fifth chamber.
Fifth chamber, okay. By the way, this is very different in different journals and books that you look at. So the EU cases, let's say, they have their case numbers, and often people start referencing the cases in the footnotes by the case number, C-106-106-07, and then they give the name of the case or the parties, which here is the Commission of the European Communities versus French Republic, and then they put the name of the court and the date of the decision, and then the place of publication, which is this journal, European Court Reports, and then the number of the issue and the year of publication, and then with the link. This is often how people do it. I mean, you're flexible to turn it around as you wish. I mean, some people only make a reference to the case number. Other people only make a reference in this first part of the reference to the title of the case or the parties who are the disputing parties, which is here is Commission versus France. And then by including this additional information, it's easy for the reader to get to the exact case. I mean, there might be millions of cases between Commission versus France, but we want this one to analyze. But there's only one case, which is C-106-07. So this number is more distinctive in a way than the title of the case, but I would include the parties also in the footnote. Why should we deprive the reader of knowing who the parties in a dispute were? So in my view, neither of the three contain sufficient references in the sense that they give you the most complete information, but all of them contain some aspects of the sufficient information. But you do not hard rule. The rule is give as much information possible for the reader to identify who was the court, what was the jurisdiction, what was the case number, when the decision was made, because that helps you understand, when you're comparing the case law from, let's say, this very same court, you see how their reasoning has developed from one type of understanding to another. And then this is where the chronology helps you, because you know what the reasoning was, what was the first way how the court reasoned, and what was the second, what came after. So you're very disappointed in what I am telling you. But the point is, I mean, try to find your own logic and stick with it. Try to have consistent references in the footnotes that whatever order of the things when it comes to court decisions you decide to follow, that you follow it for all the courts. And not that one footnote has one order and the other one has a different order. And then somebody might think, you know, well, maybe this was not your original reading of the case. Maybe you have stolen the footnote or the reference to a case if it all of a sudden looks completely different than the rest of the footnotes you were compiling. And then we have another not so hard rule, which governs the citation of web pages. It also gives you a lot of flexibility, but where the rule is rigid is that a link to the website needs to be included with the date when the website was accessed. And although it does not look best when you look at the footnote with this information, I mean, it's there so that you can prove or you can defend yourself in 20 years that on that particular date something was on that page. The fact that in the meantime the page no longer exists is not your responsibility or liability. So there we also had some excerpts from different type of online sources. In the first case, this was a blog of a person called Vihar Georgiev, who is writing exchanging his thoughts with the rest of the readership, whoever comes across to what he is writing. And often students in doing the research find some interesting material that they have read and that they are quoting on the internet and in similar, let's say, publications. And again, be aware that you should make reference to these publications as well, because they are easily detectable once ran through this anti-plagiarism software. So don't think, this is unimportant, this is only a blog, so I don't need to make a reference to it in the footnote, because as long as it's available on the internet, it's going to be detected by this software that tests whether something is plagiarized or not. So again, this gave you, different ideas and considerations of how you would quote this document that was on this web page. And yeah, I'm curious whether you agree with either of the three, whether you would put something different. So the web page is read, it started with European Union law, a blog about EU law by Vihar Georgiev. Then the title of this particular blog was How to Save the Eurozone in Few Easy Steps. Then it was mentioned that it was posted on 27th November 2011, and then the blog continues.
Like what I would wrote now.
Tell me.
I would write the name of the author, then the headline, then the link with the italic.
Okay, so you mean you would start by Vihar Georgiev, comma, and then How to Save the Eurozone in Few Easy Steps, right?
Not sure about if the name should be first. It's logical having in mind the other roles, but then it doesn't sound, it sounds like a book maybe.
Okay, and then you would put a link, and then?
What I put here in my version is published on that date and accessed on them.
Okay, and anyone else? Would you do something differently from what you see on the screen, or from what we just heard from Lukashin?
I'm not sure should be right that it is a blog. Should be right like in the physics. Should be written like that.
No, it's interesting, and I like the way Lukashin approached things. I mean, so you could pretend to recreate the rule about the articles and books. And then if you think about it, the name of the author should go first. The name of this blog, which is how to save the Eurozone in few easy steps, this particular blog that was posted on 27 November should be second. Then if you think about the publisher, right? It's European Union Law blog about EU law. And then if you think about the places, obviously online, the year of publication or the information on the date of publication is 27 November 2011. And then you can add the link and the date when you accessed it. So it could be Vihar Georgiev, comma, how to save the Eurozone in few easy steps, which could be in quotation marks, comma, and then in italics you can say European Union law blog about EU law by Vihar Georgiev or something from that, and then comma, and then you can say 27th November 2011, comma, you insert the link, and then you insert the date today. What is today? 29th of December 2025, which is the date when you have accessed it. You can also skip part of this, what we have mentioned. The important things, I think that the author's name, whenever you see online that there's an author, that the author's name should be recognized in your footnote one way or the other. And the title of this particular post should also be mentioned, because if you only keep that it's Vihar Georgiev's blog about EU law, then you might go to his page and see that he has posted 50 different posts, so we do not know to which of the ones we should, which of the ones we should research for further information. But then again, the date also helps, so we can narrow down where to look in the past. If it was something published 10 years ago, it might be there are more and more contributions that have received, which makes it more difficult for the reader to look it up. But again, no hard rules, just make it as descriptive and accessible to the reader. And last one is also a web source, but from a journal that you all know called The Economist. And there somebody has written something on the European Union in this race, a comedy of euros. Britain had a bad summit, but the Eurozone had a worse one. And actually, from what I could give you, I don't think you can see the name of the author, right? But you can see that the date of publication was 17 December 2011. So what are we going to do here? Or what did you do at home if it was different from what you see on the screen?
I rose the headline first, but all three rows, the European Union is very common if Europe, Britain have that summit, then a link in italic, then the date of publishing and access date, but I will add the Economist summit.
Yeah, I mean, here we definitely know that it's an article published in The Economist, so I think it should be mentioned if we think about the place where it was published or the publisher. I don't think that should be omitted. I mean, then you might have questions, whether all three lines are a title of this, or maybe, only the middle one, or is it the first two? How articles often have like a sentence or two to catch your attention as a summary of what the text is about, and not necessarily an article. So here we might get into all these interpretations. So I don't know, give it some thought and you pick. I'm not sure whether the third line is actually a part of the title, but it might be. I'm not saying it's not. And sometimes in the newspapers, you have like the headline and then like the titles of lesser value, but still informative. But anyhow, let's say that we say the European Union industry, a comedy of euros, and then we say it's The Economist, and then we give then we put the date, 17 December 2011, and then we put the website, and then we put the date when it was accessed. If we had the name of the author, we can start with the author. So let's assume that Milena Đorđević has written this particular article. It would go Milena Đorđević, comma, European Union Industry, a comedy of euros, comma, Economist, 17 December 2011, website and date it was accessed. Again, this is, follow your, let's say, intuition or your style. If we are going to replicate how it was for the articles in journals, then yes, you could put The Economist in italic and put the title of this article in quotation marks. Or not, if you don't like it, how it looks. I mean, here, there's no hard rule, so we can be flexible. But again, as I say, be consistent throughout your paper at the very end, if that's what you're asking me. No. Date when the link was accessed always comes after the link. So the last two pieces of information you should have are the website and the date it was accessed. And by the way, the websites in the footnote, and I think it's also the rule, but irrespective of the rule, always look better if they're in italics. So I would never keep the link as it is here, always as it is in the second example in italics. Although this link, as you can see, is not, something's wrong. This link is not proper, but never mind. It's too short, and it definitely does not refer to the same text, but worse things have happened in life. Okay, so this completes the homework and the exercises. Do we have any questions?
Okay. Now we see.
In that regard, was there something that was not explained or understood so far?
Dear professor,
I'm gonna, yes, please.
Dear professor, I have one query regarding your presentations. That is, you referred in the present in the homework that is in line with the law faculty annual report, annals. It is wise for us to understand what is the symbolic of any annals to send us into email. We can compare with this what we learn and is okay or not. Do you understand my point?
I don't understand your point, but not because your point is off, but because I cannot hear you well.
Okay.
So can you say it again and try to speak a bit louder, and we'll see. I mean, I have 3 colleagues in the room now,
Okay.
and I think that we did not.
Yeah, now you can hear me. Now you can
Yes.
hear. Okay, I told that faculty of law. You explained in the homework. Everything must be as per the faculty of law annals. Please send us a copy of faculty of annals of copy so we can go through there to understand everything. All the
Okay. Forget about it. No, forget about it. I mean, the master thesis writing guidelines were written in accordance with what this faculty journal called Annals of the Law Faculty, what their rules were. So you don't have to, you just focus on the master thesis writing guidelines that you were given. Forget about the journal, which, by the way, has changed the rules in the meantime. So you definitely should not follow those. Did I hear you well? I mean,
yes.
did I?
Thank
Okay.
you. Now
Okay, good.
Raju ma'am.
Okay, so now I also understand what was your concern, and there's one last thing we should go through before we resume. Well, not resume, but complete our exercises for today. Just give me a second.
Oh no. No, bro. This is my home.
Again, this is not a document that you're going to see for the first time. These are the instructions for the practical skills exam. And if you remember, we have talked about it in the first class as well, what you're going to be expected to do for the exam. And I told you that you're going to get an article similar to this one, but not this one, where you will be expected to fill in the gaps, write an abstract, add keywords, do the formatting check if needed in terms of whether the titles and subtitles are right. And more specifically and more importantly, you will have to check the footnotes, whether they are written in a form that we have just gone through, both in the master thesis writing guidelines and in the exercises we have had. And then you will also be expected to organize the list of references in a way that has been explained to you that makes more sense, and that is have separate chapters, one for the books and articles, or books separate from articles, and then have one subtitle for the statutes and legislation, where you will have all the conventions and statutes and whatever other sources you're using. And then one heading for the case law that you were using. And then I would suggest that in the case law section, you also organize it under the different countries or jurisdictions. So you have German cases listed, and then Serbian cases listed, and then Mexican cases listed, and then EU cases listed, or whatever country cases you may have listed. And then you have websites or other materials. I mean, eventually you're going to have some materials which do not fall into these four major categories, but it would be nice that your list of references is categorized. And then within each section, for the books and articles in particular, the books should be listed in the alphabetical order of the last names of the authors. So if you have quoted the books from Milena Đorđević, Ivana Krstić, Miodrag Jovanović, and Dragica Vujadinović, they will be listed in the order, English alphabet order of our first names of our first letters of our last names. So I'm Đorđević, we have Đorđević, Krstić, Jovanović, and Vujadinović, so it would be Milena Đorđević first, as always, followed by Miodrag Jovanović, because J comes after K, right? Ivana Krstić, and then in the end, Dragica Vujadinović. And I think this completes the instructions that I thought were useful to share with you orally. Of course, I'm open to answer any questions. And before you ask me, all of you are expected to register. The first exam period starts in February, right? Okay, so all of you at one point in time will be called to register for the exam. And this is done in the postgraduate office or online. I mean, I'm not sure, but you ask what the administration rules are. You need to register for the exam in order to pass it. I will send to you after Christmas, not now, this article or whatever, the exam, which I called in the working schedule mock exam. So it's mock exam because it's not an exam period yet, but you can, to the extent that you do this exam right, this mock exam that you will get after Christmas, it's going to be considered as your exam for the February exam period. And I advise you all to do that because it's really not complicated. It does not take too much of your time. The only, intellectual input is to write an abstract, which again is not a difficult task. Yes, and I forgot to say, but all the elements of the thesis should be there. We have mentioned it in the first class. I mean, including the cover page, right, with all the logos and information that the cover page should contain. So when you return this article to me, it should look like a master thesis. And there's no need for you to check the contents of the thesis. I mean, it might be the worst master thesis in the world, but let's make it look nice. And yes, and then within a few weeks' time or less, depending on my schedule, I will come back to you with a request for corrections, if some corrections are needed. And if not, I will let you know at what point in time to come to my office to get your grade inscribed in your student book. But this has to be not sooner than February, so within this time period that's reserved for the exams, and you have to register for the exams so that I can give you your grade then. But still, even if you do not register for the February exam term, if you pass this exam informally, let's say it in January, I mean, this grade will be valid for any next exam period where you decide to register. But I see no reason why to postpone it. You will have more difficult classes than this one. So let's try to do this as the first exam in your career of a master's student at the University of Belgrade Faculty of Law. Are there any additional questions?
Yes.
We have one question in the room, and Carlos, I have to ask you to speak up.
Yes, I have one question. Maybe I got lost. So you're gonna send us on January the mock exam. So if we are like, let's say, if we are passing this exam, that will be counting as our final exam. Let's say so. But if for some reason we are not doing that exam, then we need to go straight forward for another exam.
If you're not doing that exam and several months pass in between, I will give you a different assignment then, yes.
Super.
But it's the same model. I think it's best for you to start with this one. I mean, maybe some of you are traveling in January and then you say, I don't want to do it in January, but and this exam will be the same one for the official February exam period. So, I mean, you will have some time to complete it by the end of January, beginning of February. I mean, I would not waste this opportunity if I were you.
Actually, that we were talking about, is it gonna be related to our mock exam?
Sorry, is it going to be what?
Related to our mock exam.
Yes, of course. I mean, you will be given an opportunity to correct your exam. So either we will do it either by email or Zoom, or you can come in person to my office. And I'll tell you what you've done wrong and ask you to correct it. I mean, you did not comply with the rules. I'll tell you, can you please, I mean, you can do it if you have a laptop within 15 minutes after you hear my comments. You know, it's not really, the only problem that I will have is if I realize that one of you has plagiarized the abstract, and we're not going to have that happen, right? Nobody's going to plagiarize 200 words for an abstract of this master thesis. Nobody will do that. Yes, excellent. And you're not going to tell me to send me an abstract which is poorly written, where all the words are, you know, underlined as it's a bad English spelling, right? Because we have Word that takes care of these issues for us. So, I mean, it's if you do that. I mean, not the play messy when you return these exams to me. I mean, it's better if you're messy when we are going through the practical skills exam than if you're messy with your, you know, substantive core exam. So if you have to fail something, fail this, but don't fail this. We'll make sure that that doesn't happen. Okay, so now we have the secretary of our master's program in law and gender present with us, Anna Mehmeti. And Anna may not know that this is a joint group now from the Masters of European Integration and the Law and Gender. She has some information for you or some tasks for you. So whoever here is not from the Masters on Law and Gender may feel free to leave. Again, if you have additional questions, send me an email and I'll be happy to help. Or you can always also, by the way, in all of my emails that you have received, in the signature line, you have my cell phone number. Feel free to contact me via WhatsApp. That might be actually faster and the quickest for all of us. If there's something unclear, I can always give you a call via WhatsApp, but I cannot give you a call if I don't have your cell phone number. And you do have mine, so you should take the first step. I wish you all a Happy New Year. Enjoy it as much as you can, the celebration, and then the continuation of your legal education here at the faculty. And with this being said, I'm going to give Anna the floor to give you the instructions on how you are going to grade me, right?
Not only you, everyone.
Okay, how you're going to grade everyone.
Da. Ne moramo.
Ne.
Onda ću ja mogu da se ulogujem na mail svoj preko vašeg kompjutera. Nastavi, samo pričaj, ne treba da sve čuju. Ne, nego samo treba da im pošaljem linkove. Kako? Pa nemam ovde link sad, nego... Ovde ću im poslati na Zoom i onda ponovo kasnije na mail. Znači, uđem u svoj mail. Neću vam ništa gasiti. Okay, just a second, everyone. I will now log into my mail, and then I will give you instructions as before on how to do evaluation. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Great.
What are the things that people like and dislike, and what are the things that we like. And yeah, we will get it from all lectures in that, which I think are better line and the other it's for us. So sorry for holding you for relations, but if you did not attend classes or the other lectures, then just don't do anything and you don't. It tends to be able from the new time to fail, whatever you do, but it will go.
Okay, so hi everyone again. As you can see, there are 4 links here in the chat. Please, only LawGem students, if you're a master student at the LawGem, please click on this link and then evaluate each professor for the questions like we did before. So this is only for this course. So I want to remind you that you just have to evaluate professors from this course here. Yes. Okay, so in the beginning, you will have the name of Professor Dragica. So the first link is about Professor Dragica. You remember Professor Dragica from the beginning and from courses on feminist feminist and legal perspectives, and for this course. So be aware that you are now given evaluation for methodology and practical skills. Second one is for Professor Miodrag Jovanovic. You remember you had lectures with him as well. Mada znaju, imali su ih sve. Yes. Third link is for Milana Đorđević, for a professor that you had also today. And as before, I will give you also all the links for, I will send you all the links via email as well. So don't worry, you do not have to fill this in today, but please do it later when you can. And thank you again for all the evaluation that you did before. I saw that you had them. Please try to be even more detailed about it. And you will also receive another email for again, so you will have these links even if you forget about this link today. Okay, so I wish you a wonderful rest of the week. Congratulations on the final class that you had on this course. And if you have any questions or any comments, feel free to reach out to Professor Krstic, to Marija Vlajković, or me, and we will be happy to help you. Later today, you will be receiving an email for the evaluation forms of these professors. Yeah, thank you for your time. And if you have any questions, just reach out to me. Don't worry. Bye.
Thank you. Happy holidays. Bye.
Happy holidays to all of you. Sad onda gasim.
Hvala puno.
Hvala.
Laku noć.
Laku noć svima.